Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? So I thought I would come over here and do a little bit of a response video to Hocus Pocus 2, which I watched last night. I made a decision recently for this channel. You know, I do all kinds of things on this channel, but one of the things that I want to start doing over here is when I finish a TV show or a movie or something, I'm going to do a response video to it over here. In the past, I've watched movies and done reviews of them, but they're really not reviews. They're more of responses to movies or TV shows that I've watched. And so I'm going to start doing responses over here and just kind of like talking about the TV show or the movie that I've watched, partly because I have watched so many TV shows this year. I think I've watched something like 53 or 54 binge-watched TV shows, and I just recently watched Dahmer. In all honesty, if you guys want me to do a response video about it, I totally will. I'm not sure that I want to put out any more rhetoric about this story and all that. I feel like, I don't know, you know, when I started watching it, I was very interested in it because it was a Ryan Murphy show, which I love Ryan Murphy, and Evan Peters was in it. And so I have a true crime book club, which I run with my good friend Mel. And so I thought this will be interesting. There's actually not a lot of really, you know, good intensive books out there about Jeffrey Dahmer or the story or anything like that. And as I started watching the movie and I followed the storyline of it, I was like, there's not a lot of attention being paid to the victims until like the end of the series, which is a question that I always ask. In reading true crime or in watching true crime documentaries and stuff, is like, how much, you know, like, are we dedicating to the victims in these stories, or are we, you know, lifting up the notoriety of the killer? And I feel like that's what they did in the show Dahmer. So I don't know, unless I had that kind of conversation, that it would do any kind of service to do a response to Dahmer. But if you guys would like me to do that, I have no problem doing that, and I will give you my 2 cents. I will tell you that in all of the coverage of any shows or movies that I do over here, they will be completely spoiler. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. So going forward, if you don't want to hear spoilers, because I know people get very upset about this on my vlog. If you don't know, I have a vlog where I vlog for like 40 minutes to an hour every single night, sitting right here. And I talk about TV shows, and I've tried to be very good about not giving spoilers away because people get upset about that, which I totally understand. But over here, I am going to spoil the hell out of these shows. So just be prepared. And today, I am going to be talking about Hocus Pocus 2. So, let me tell you about life in the world of Peter Monn. My husband actually last night was finishing up Dahmer, and he just kind of wanted to finish it, and he was on episode 7. And so I said, are you planning on finishing this tonight? And he said, yeah, I think I'm going to try to get this done and finish it tonight. And I said, okay. So I said, 2 movies came out today that I'm so excited about. One was My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, which was a book that Grady Hendrix wrote, I don't know, I think he said 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and they just turned it into a movie on Amazon Prime. I watched it last night. There's not really tons to talk about with it. It's a horror movie. I think it's a good, scary movie to watch during October. It's not terrifyingly scary. It's about demonic possession. But it's mostly about like pop culture from the 80s and kind of references all of that. I loved it. I watched it last night first before I watched Hocus Pocus 2. So anyway, I asked Alex, I said, you know, like, I said Hocus Pocus 2 came out. I was real excited about it. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, have you seen Hocus Pocus 1? And he said, I don't think I have. And I just kind of sat there and I looked at him and I said, you've never seen Hocus Pocus 1? I must play it probably in the whole Halloween season, I don't know, 10 or 15 times in the background while I'm doing other things. I love Hocus Pocus so much, the original. So, I was so excited when this came out. I honestly couldn't believe it. You know, this has been something that has been talked about for years, that Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy were going to come back and they were going to do their 3 famous roles as the Sanderson sisters in Hocus Pocus 2. I honestly thought in my lifetime it never would happen, which meant that it wasn't probably going to happen because they're, you know, they're close to my age group. And one of the things is, if you watch the end of the movie, I was talking about this in my vlog, and I don't think I ever completed what I was talking about, but I got really teary-eyed and I started crying, because to have watched something that has affected pop culture so much, like Hocus Pocus, and to have been alive when the first part of it came out, and then to see the end of it. It would be like if Star Wars ended and they said, well, this is the very last Star Wars we're ever going to do. Like, that whole thing had been, happened in my lifetime. So I'm watching Hocus Pocus 2, which I never thought would ever come to fruition anyway. And then to see and to think that Hocus Pocus 1 and Hocus Pocus 2 were both out together. And I don't believe there will be a Hocus Pocus 3. If there is, it won't have the three sisters in it again, or it'll be something along a different line. It won't have the three actresses in it again. And for me, I kind of believe that Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2, like, the draw is Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy. I mean, for me, it's their quirkiness, their storyline, their funniness, their funny sayings, amuck, 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 which we hear again in Hocus Pocus 2. So, several years ago, the sequel to Hocus Pocus came out, and it was a Disney book that came out, and it was exclusive only at Target. I think you can buy it other places now. And so in this book, which was this, it had the Hocus Pocus book at the beginning of it, and then it also had the all-new sequel, okay? And I bought it, and I was going to read it during book, I think Spookathon several years ago, which is a readathon, and I ended up listening to it on Audible, and I listened to the Hocus Pocus, the original book, and then I listened to the sequel, Hocus Pocus 2, and this is a YA novel, okay? So when I found out that Hocus Pocus 2, the movie, was coming out, I was very excited, okay? And the reason that I was really excited was because I thought the storyline for the book in Hocus Pocus 2, the novel, was fantastic. And here, I just want to read you the back of this so that you guys can kind of see. So it says, the first one is about the Hocus Pocus 1. Shortly after moving from California to Salem, Massachusetts, Max Dennison finds himself in hot water when he accidentally releases a coven of witches, the Sanderson sisters, from the afterlife. Max, his sister, and his new friends, human and otherwise, must find a way to stop the witches from carrying out their evil plan and remaining on Earth to torment Salem for all the eternity. If you've ever read one of these books, it's where, like, they turn the movie into a book. It's exactly what they do. It's like everything that happened in the movie is exactly in the book, right? So then, the sequel is 25 years later, and it says, 25 years later, Max and Allison, so Max is the main character from Hocus Pocus 1. Allison is the girl that he falls in love with in Hocus Pocus 1, right? Okay. And they're the ones that are running around town together. Max and Allison's 17-year-old daughter, Poppy, finds herself face-to-face with the Sanderson sisters in all their sinister glory. When Halloween celebrations don't quite go as planned, it's a race against time as Poppy and her friends fight to save her family and all of Salem from the witch's latest vile scheme. Okay? So, I read this book, the second part of it. I didn't think it was fantastic. I don't even remember what I ended up giving the book. I think probably like a 3-star. I mean, it wasn't like, because it just isn't that well written. But the storyline was pretty good, I think in there, Max plays like the principal of the high school or something like that. They're like cemented fixtures of Salem, Massachusetts. And so they have this daughter, Poppy, and whatever, and there's always kind of this fear of Halloween and everything, and so she goes out with this friend of hers that she kind of has a crush on, and they're talking about the Sandersons, and something happens with the Sanderson sisters. I can't even remember, to be honest with you, how in the book, but I do think it's like the lighting of the candle and all this kind of stuff happens. It's very similar to the movie, okay? But there's also, like, somebody gets turned into a dog instead of a cat in the movie, in the book, I believe. But the main thing that happens in this is, if you remember in Hocus Pocus 1, one of the things that I thought was one of the most adorable pieces of Hocus Pocus 1 was this cute meet between Max and, what was her name, Allison, that this whole kind of relationship building thing that the younger sister, she kind of like, was acting like, do you remember, like, it's kind of that adventures and babysitting kind of thing when, the younger sister is, teasing him about having a crush on the babysitter and all that kind of stuff. It was very much that in Hocus Pocus, and so his kind of like romance with this girl, and everything ending up at the end. I thought to then translate that over to a 25 years later and their child have to go through exactly what they went through, I thought was perfection, right? So I was so excited to sit down and watch Hocus Pocus 2 and see this pan out. But that's not what happened at all. So I started watching Hocus Pocus 2 last night. And there is this cute part at the beginning of it where it's kind of like the Sanderson sisters when they were young, and it explains like how they lived in the Forbidden Forest and how they ended up, or went to the Forbidden Forest or whatever it's called, and how they became witches and all this kind of stuff and got banned. And it talks about all of that. And the one main character that they bring through this is the guy that's the mayor, and his probably great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or something was at the time like the minister that tried to like get Winifred married. And anyway, it's this whole backstory that quite frankly didn't need to be told. The three little girls that played the Sanderson sisters are absolutely adorable, especially the one that plays Bette Midler's character, because she looks just like her. And so it's really cute. I mean, she has her like quirks and stuff as Winnie, like, nailed. I mean, it's absolutely adorable, right? So then it flashes forward, and the story is there's these three girls, and they used to be friends, and now one's not anymore in the group because she's got a boyfriend, and so she like is always with her boyfriend and his jock friends, and so the other two, they like don't ever want to be around the jock friends, right? It's that storyline, which is old as time, you know what I mean? It's just whatever. So these two girls, and they're very witchy, and they like to go out into the woods every year on this one girl's birthday, which apparently is Halloween, I guess. There's really no, like, it doesn't really ever say, unless I missed it, if it's Halloween when this is occurring, which is one of the things for me. It's like there's a Halloween festival and there's a Halloween party and it's this girl's birthday, but like they don't really come out and say if it's Halloween or not, which I was confused if it was Halloween or if it was just like the weekend before Halloween, or I don't know, were they doing bar crawls? I didn't understand it, okay? So anyway, there's this Halloween festival, which is basically like for like what do you call it? Not commissary. That's some prison video. We'll talk about that when I talk about Blackbird or something like that. But there are like these 4 food trucks and people running down the street dressed up like, I mean, it was like, I felt like this movie was so low budget compared to Hocus Pocus 1. And this was my thing, right? Okay. You have waited 29 years to get Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy in the same spot together. They have agreed to do this movie. You have them together again, and this is what we get. Like, it was cute. Like, don't get me wrong, it was cute. Like, there was some parts in there where, like, they got on stage and they sang, and like, Ginger Minj from RuPaul's Drag Race, she played, like, this drag queen that was dressed up like Winnie. That was cute. Like the pop cultural reference again was cute. But they were like, they sang to the audience, and of course like the audience, like they, mesmerize them. But I was like hoping they would sing the song from Hocus Pocus 1. They don't. They sing like this song, like this Creedence Clearwater Revival song or something like that. I can't remember what the song is, but it just, I don't know. It just, one of the cutest scenes ever was that these two girls that like do this like witchy poo thing, and they light this can. Okay, so this guy that owns this magic shop, which is in the Sanderson sisters' old house, he like saw them in the first movie like fly out, and ever since then he's been trying to bring them back, right? And so now he owns this magic shop, and so he gives this girl on her 16th birthday, because he knows she's a witch, this candle, the black flame candle. So when she lights it, it brings the Sanderson sisters back, okay? So he's having to run here and run there and get them all these ingredients so that Winifred can become the most powerful witch in the entire world. So anyway, so he's doing all this, they're doing all this kind of stuff, and I don't know, it's just this one scene, the sisters are trying to like kill these two girls, these two teenage girls, the one that just turned 16, who finds out she's a witch later, and so they're like, oh, you don't have to like kill kids anymore to put them in potions. They're now called lotions. And so they go into this like Walgreens or CVS. That's probably the funniest scene in the entire movie. It's like when they're trying all these lotions and drinking these lotions and stuff. It's kind of funny. And she says something like, Sarah Jessica Parker says something like retinol, what a cute name for a baby, or something like that. It's kind of funny. I don't know. It was okay. It was good. Here's the thing, okay, that first of all, you got these 3 actresses together. I'm sure they paid them an unbelievable amount of money, right, to do Hocus Pocus 2. And you gave us a maybe at best 3.5 out of 5 stars of a movie. Like, I don't get it, okay? When right here in this book, you had written for you a script that followed, and a lot of people, like when I tweeted this out, there were, not a lot, but a couple people were like, well, maybe they couldn't find the actors. They didn't even have to have the original actors in here. They could have just had the 2 people that said that they were Max and Allison and their daughter Poppy. The one thing I do want to ask is this. In this book, Poppy has a romantic relationship as well, and her romantic relationship is with her girlfriend, and she's a lesbian, and that's a big part of the story. I find it interesting that Disney, who wrote the book, it's right here, okay, decided to veer away from their own storyline and have no romantic piece to this story whatsoever, which would have uplifted this story, okay, and have no romantic piece to it whatsoever. And my question is why? And I only have to think that maybe Disney was worried that if they had a lesbian romantic character fall in love in this storyline, that not as many people would watch Hocus Pocus 2. I just, that's the only thing I can think of, because, and not that I think that there's like some huge conspiracy speculation to the world of that, but I'm like, why did you veer so far away from this incredible storyline that there's, you know, a character's changed into a dog, and you have this romance, and you have this character that makes sense because she is the child of the 2 main characters from the first one? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand when you have the opportunity, and it's a missed opportunity at this point, right? Hocus Pocus 2 is out. They're not going to do Hocus Pocus 3 in 2 years and come back with all these characters, because who's going to care? And, you know, I saw so many people, because I put on there, like, the movie's cute, but I don't understand. I put on Twitter, the movie's cute, but I don't understand, like, why they veered away from the book. And I got a lot of comments from people that are like, it's just okay, or I'm not that impressed, or it's really not that good, you know? It was a missed opportunity. It was, like I said, at best, and I'm being fair when I'm giving it a 3.5. The 3.5 is exclusively just for having those 3 actresses back, playing their same characters again. Very, very well. I mean, it's 29 years, and it's like they just stepped right back, you know, doing it again. And I also will say this, the character that played Billy, the zombie guy, like, he's really good in Hocus Pocus 2 as well. He's, like, somebody that I really enjoyed. But, like, of all the original characters that they brought back, the one that they brought back was the one that plays the mayor, and, like, it didn't make any sense to me. So let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. And let me know what you think about my new idea of covering TV shows and movies over here. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.